Okay. The second video is basically about Alpha 1 drives, which are basically, I want to say, found on like 60% of all the boats. Really popular drives, been around forever and ever and ever, from the 70s on. You know, they're still making them today, made by Mercruiser. Well, as you know, if you own a boat, you don't have any warranty on it, and you know that trips to the mechanic are crazy, outrageous, and expensive. So I'm doing a quick video on basically how to tell your drives apart. There's three of them. Just I'm talking about the alphas. There's a pre-alpha drive, there's alpha 1 drive, and there is alpha 1 Gen 2, which is being used as we speak on all the newer boats. They updated everything on the drive, the case and everything else like that is different. So, but it's still called alpha 1 drive. There's a lot of different drives out there, even made by Mercruiser, and there's a lot of different alpha 1 MR different drives, but they're all the same. So I just want to show you the three main difference drives. So basically what you do is this. If you want to do a water pump, if you want to change the seals, gaskets, first thing they're going to ask you when you go to a parts store or a marine, they're going to say, well, what kind of drive you got? There's two places where you can find it. You can either A, find it on the back of your motor, right on your arrestor plate, the cover that covers the arrestor. They'll say there's an engine serial number and there's a drive serial number. You can take that down and they'll actually give you the right part. But sometimes weird things happen. I've seen them happen where the boat is a 1986 and for some reason it has a Gen 2 drive on. Somebody changed it out, whatever, which is a good thing, but then now you need impellers. So what do? Well, if you know that it's a Gen 2 drive, good, but if you don't, how do you tell them apart? Well, that's what I'm going to show you. On the left, right here, you have a alpha 1 drive, Gen 1 as they say, or just alpha 1 drive. The way you tell them apart, for one, is alpha 1 from a pre-alpha, and I will start with the pre-alpha, which they're the oldest drives. Pre-alpha drives right here on this top cover. I'll zoom in. Okay, this top cover right here. You'll have ribs running across. Okay? And you'll have a hook, almost like an eye hook, on top of this cover. That's a dead giveaway that it's a pre-alpha drive. And it uses a different water impeller from all the other drives and uses different seals and stuff like that. So the dead giveaway is when you're looking at a drive, if you look right on top of the side of this cover, you see ribs running across. Guess what? It's a pre-alpha drive. It's the first gen drive made by Mercruiser. Let me zoom out. Okay. So alpha 1 doesn't have any ribs. As you can see, there's nothing. It's pretty much almost like a look-alike of what they make now. But there's a big difference. So if you're looking at it, as you can see, all these drives have 6 bolts, 3 on each side. That's actually how you actually unbolt the drive. Okay? If you want to remove the whole drive, 3 bolts here. The difference comes in, to quickly tell them apart, is here. Your trim cylinders. I'll show you the big difference. The trim cylinders on Alpha 1, Gen 1, are pretty much all the way at the end of the drive, right by your captivation plate right over here. Okay, they run all the way across like this, the drive. Okay, so remember that. For 2, when you're taking the drive off, like I said, you have 6 bolts, 3 on each side. You take those off. There's the anode. You take the anode off, and there's a bolt there. You take that one off. Then you got 2 more bolts here, and you got another bolt over here. After you take those, and I'll count 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 bolts. You have 1 bolt, which is actually not a bolt, it's a stud on each side of the drive. And that actually what will separate the upper from the lower. You undo those with an open end wrench and it will actually separate the drive and you can actually take the lower drive off. You only do that if you're actually just doing a water impeller and you can actually separate the drives on the boat. You don't have to take the whole drive off to do the water pump. All you do is you tilt it halfway up, undo all those bolts I just showed you, and then start undoing your studs, and it will actually separate the lower, and you can change your pump, put the lower back in, and that's it. The only thing, the drive has to be in forward. So like I said, alpha ones. Remember the trim cylinders. Remember the 6 bolts, which you'll see on all of them, 3 on each side. 2 studs over here, 1 on each side, and basically separating the upper from the lower. And you have 2 bolts underneath the plate, 1 hidden underneath the anode plate, and 1 in the front over here. Pretty simple, huh? Okay, well, let me show you the difference between a Gen 2. This right here is a Gen 2. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so this is Gen 2. First thing when you're looking at it is same thing. You see the 3 bolts here. Now all of a sudden, do you see the trim cylinders? They're almost halfway down the drive. They don't go all the way back like Alpha 1. And the other key, just by looking at it, is instead of having 1 stud that separates the lower from the upper, like the Alpha 1 has, Gen 2s have actually 2 on each side, and they're through bolts, which means they go all the way through the upper and the lower, and they bolt up. The Alpha 1, you just have 1 on each side, and it's a stud, meaning all you see is just the nut, and you just undo it, and it separates your upper from your lower. So that's the biggest difference. And like I said, if you don't have your serial number of your drives, that's how you tell them apart. They're really simple. Alpha 1s, they just look old, and you know it's a pre-alpha. But sometimes, like I said, people change the drives. You will never know, and if you want to do something yourself and save money and save yourself a couple of trips to the store, that's how you separate your alpha drives. Your Bravo drives are pretty much, they look completely different. If you guys want, I'll do another one on a Bravo. But what I'm going to do come springtime is I'm going to take my Alpha 1 Gen 1, which is this drive here, and I'm actually going to do water impeller. I see on YouTube there's a lot of people that do water impellers, but they don't show you the whole process. You don't actually have to take the drive off to do a water impeller. You can just, like I said, tilt the drive halfway up, put in forward gear, drop the lower, replace the pump, and that's it. And you put everything back up and save yourself about $200. Most shops charge about $360 for replacing a water pump, and they do it the same way. And like with other videos, if you have any questions, email me or call me. Okay.